Hey, my name's Austin Skelzo, and I want to talk to you today about how to take a simple melody and make it sound more bluegrassy for the mandolin. So, we're listening to this melody here, the 9-pound hammer, and I think the most important thing to know when you're getting started is making sure that you know the melody down pat. Now, I used to learn the melodies from the mandolin, but I really highly recommend that you actually learn the very, very simple, just vocal melody first. So let's play through the chords of this tune, and we'll just learn the lyrical melody, and we'll base our lesson off of that. So this is in the key of G. We need our G chord, our C chord, and our D chord. Play it however you know it. And I'll just sing the song for you a couple times. You sing and play along. Will the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy. Buddy for my size, buddy for my size. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels don't go? That's the vocal melody. Let's try that one more time. 2, 3. Well, the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy, baby for my size, buddy for my size. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels don't go? Cool. Alright, so once we learn the vocal melody, then we want to prime our fingers to find the notes of the melody. So the best way to kind of prepare yourself to play the melody is to play actually a pentatonic scale. Pentatonic scales are the most commonly used group of notes that are made up of, that melodies are made up of. So let's play our G pentatonic scale here. Play it with me. Now play it an octave higher. One more time there. Now we'll play both octaves from the bottom. Cool. So all the notes of this melody are within that pentatonic scale. Let's work on that pentatonic scale. We'll start picking notes out of the melody. So our first note is in the G chord. So if you play your G chord and you hum the note, you'll be able to find it. Well, well, there it is, our open D string. So we got well the 9. Now, and if we know the melody goes up, right, then we can just follow the scale up. Well the 9-pound hammer. Okay. We'll start by just playing the exact same notes that we're singing. Well the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy, baby for my size, buddy for my size. Just that again. 1, 2, 3. Well the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy, buddy for my size, buddy for my size. Now next part jumps all the way up to this note here. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow when the wheels won't go. So how can I roll when the wheels won't go? Right, that's the kind of the basic melody from the top. So roll on, buddy, so slow. How can I roll when the wheels don't go? So you might have noticed so far, I'm just, whenever my voice is sustaining a note, I tend to kind of do this rhythm here. See if you can do that. Now that's imitating the kind of the basic beat of the of bluegrass music. It's also kind of what's known in the percussion world as like a train beat. It's so we kind of imitate that when we're sustaining a note, just to, it's an easy way to keep the groove and the rhythm when there's a long held note. So we'll talk more about that later, but that you might have noticed that I was doing it. Let's play the whole melody now. 1, 2, 3. Well, the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy, size, buddy for my size. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Cool. So let's take that melody and bring it some places. The first thing that you can think to do is what I just mentioned really briefly, in that whenever you have a held note, you're going to just put that rhythm of da da ga da da ga da. Some people call it like the run pony rhythm. Run pony, run pony, run pony, run. So try that, just imitate me here. I'm just adding that rhythm whenever I'm holding a note out. Well, the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy. Pennies for my size, buddy for my size. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? All right, so that's kind of one thing you can try, just adding the run pony kind of rhythm when you're sustaining a note. The other thing that you really want to do, this song has the pickup notes, the wail the 9-pound hammer, but most notes you want to find a really deliberate way to play that to sound more bluegrassy, right? So this song has it nice and built in for you, right? Those first notes, a lot of people miss them because they don't know where it happens within the groove of the song. It's always on the and of 3. So if you count here, along with the song, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? So try that with me. 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, do that again. 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Cool. The other thing is, a lot of times you're not going to start a song from silence, or you would start a song from silence, but often a solo is going to happen after a chorus. So it still happens on the and of 3. I'll try to sing the end of what a chorus would be, and then you want to be thinking that count in your head. So let's see. When the wheels won't go. Let's see if I can fit it in the count here. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? 2, 3. Yeah. So this one I'll have to go through the form here. I'll sing through it. Can I roll when the wheels won't go? So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll? Here we go. When the wheels won't. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's a good way to practice. Let's do that one more time. So now we're imagining that we're going to start our solo after the chorus, so coming in nice and strong. Let's sing the melody first. Hammer was a little too heavy, body for my side, buddy for my side. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. Here we go. How can I roll when the wheels go? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. One more time on that. That's the count you always want to be thinking on the last word of the chorus. 1, 2, 3. The 1 happens alongside the last word. Well, the 9-pound hammer, he's a little too heavy, body for my side, buddy for my size. So roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. Here we go. When the wheels won't go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's kind of the real first rule of sounding bluegrassy, is hitting those pickup notes nice and strong. That timing, regardless of the rhythm, is the same in every solo. It always starts on the end of 3, 95% of the time. So that's a really important thing to get. You want to start getting the habit of thinking and internalizing that timing. All right, so we've got our pickup notes. We have what we do when we sustain a note. Let's talk about the next thing that you could do to make your solo sound more bluegrassy. We can slide into notes. So you can approach a note from a half step below pretty much anywhere on these target notes. So for example, or to approach an open D string, you can go down here. Right? So. Right? So. Try that with me? Yeah. So sliding into all the like major notes. One more time. Cool. So I'm just picking the notes that I'm sustaining, the big target notes. I'm finding where those are, and I'm adding slides into those notes from a half step below, so like one fret below. All right, that's another strategy that you can use to sound more bluegrassy. So we have our kind of, when we sustain notes, we do that run pony rhythm. We've got our nice strong pickup notes that start on the end of 3. We've got our sliding into notes. The next thing I want to talk about is double stops. All right, so double stops, we kind of have to know where we are with the chords, because a double stop at all these target notes, or really the best place to add a double stop is whenever the chords, either where the chords change or where we're hitting a held out note. So for example, with a 9-pound hammer, that's a great place to do a double stop. So what kind of double stop do you want to do? Well, you want to do the double stop that's associated with whatever chord is happening in that moment. So with a 9-pound hammer, we want to do a G double stop. So I have a separate video on all the possible double stops you can do in G, which would be a place to refer if you don't know kind of what to do there. But here's some options. We could do an octave, so G and G. We could do that double stop there. We could do this. That's a very kind of bluegrassy shape there. 5th and 7th fret. Alright, so I'm combining those two things. I'm combining all 3 of those things: sliding, double stops, and the sustain. Those are the 3 things we talked about. Now for that moment, we're over a C chord. Another 9-pound hammer. He's a little too heavy, right? So in that moment, the melody is this note. We need a note that harmonizes from the C chord. So double stops could be maybe open G or a C note. Okay. So we got. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Alright. And let's keep going with that. So that's what's called a unison double stop. It's a D note over a G chord. So we could use open G and D. That kind of works, right? Or anyway, when you choose your double stop, you want to make sure the double stop that you choose has the melody note in it. So I'm thinking, what double stop can I do that has a D note in it? Yeah. My favorite one, I think, in this moment would be the unison. So this rhythm in particular happens a lot, where we slide into either half step or a whole step below the D note and play a unison, which is a D note and a D note. So D note 7th fret on G and open D. Unisons are a real nice kind of bluegrassy sound. Unison means two of the same note, so I'm playing a D note on here and D note on here. Okay. So all together we have. Yeah. So next idea we have. So let's add a double stop on this high note here. How about this? This is the most common kind of bluegrassy shape. Again, this is a G chord, and it's this note, so I only have a couple options of what I can harmonize it with this. I'm picking this note above. I could also do it maybe below. Right? But again, your options are all laid out in that map that I have in that separate video. I have a PDF as well. But let's go with this one. So. To this double stop shape at the bottom there, or we could go to the first one. Notice I'm adding the slide into it as well. That's kind of part of the style. Right? And then right, we go back to that C. So all those double stops are good options for this melody. Let's talk about one other thing you can add to make your solo sound more bluegrassy if you're kind of playing a melody. We've got our nice strong pickup notes on the end of 3. We've got our sustaining rhythm, run pony rhythm. We've got slides. We've got double stops. And the last thing I want to talk about is taking at the end of a major phrase where there's space, we add licks, which can be licks that you've learned, that you've copied from other people, or they can be ideas that are made up on the spot. So 2 major places for this would be the very end and the midway point. So So that's the halfway point right there. And then at the very end. Right? So in particular, the kind of style that developed is to have a really long run of notes that happen after the last official note of the solo, and actually traditionally there's about 2 measures worth of a bunch of notes where people kind of put their fancy licks in there, and that's kind of a real, if you play that instead of just ending and stopping, it's kind of a real nod to the tradition of bluegrass. So that's a very important place to kind of make your solo sound a little bit more bluegrassy and express kind of the language that you've learned and that you enjoy. So let's look at that last spot just for the sake of time and to make the point here. So we'll just go. Right? So I'm just going to count that, and I want you to I'll give you a couple licks in a second that you could put, but let's just start from when the wheels won't go, and then after that note, I'm just gonna count to 4 twice, and that's the amount of time I want you to just kind of mess around with the G pentatonic scale, right? So 1, 2, 3. When the wheels won't go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the length, right? So actually, you count that as I play this. When the wheels won't. 1, 2. I went a little bit longer there, but count to 4 twice. When the wheels won't. 1, 2. Yep. Try that one more time. When the wheels won't. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the general idea. I'm just messing around with the G pentatonic scale, but you could do licks that you know. When the wheels won't go. Right, like that. that's a common Monroe lick or whatever. When the wheels won't go. That's a common pentatonic lick. When the wheels won't go. That's kind of a made-up lick from, maybe a more bluesy side, right? So just give that a shot. Let's go from how can I roll when the wheels won't go. So you might be asking, well, doesn't that like run into the next part of the song? Well, it actually comes from a tradition where bluegrass musicians were singing around one microphone, so it actually took time for the singer, once they finished singing the chorus, or sorry, when the soloist finished taking their solo, it took time for the singer to get back to that microphone. And so there was this time where the soloist had to kind of move away from the microphone, and the singer had to come up, and that's when all those extra notes would happen out of necessity. Now, of course, with modern technology and recording and multiple microphones, we don't have to do that anymore, but a lot of the musicians kind of kept that tradition anyway, just as a place to kind of flex their improvisation muscles or the licks that they've learned and practiced and things like that. So that's a really special spot in a bluegrass solo, and one that I want you to try a couple more times. So we got how can I roll when the wheels won't go. Yeah. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Yeah. One more time. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Cool. So let's do a quick review of all the concepts we've talked about, and then I want you to just put it all together as a finish to this lesson. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Remember to check out that separate PDF and video on all the possible double stops you can make on the mandolin. All right, so our first thing we talked about is nice strong pickup notes. So we want to be thinking 1, 2, 3. And all your solos, you're going to start on the end of 3. So you want to be counting ones from either if you're counting the song off in the beginning, or it's counting in your head 1, 2, 3 when the singer finishes the chorus. How can I roll when the wheels won't? 1, 2, 3. So the first beat is on the last word that they sing. All right. So that's the first thing we talked about. Then we talked about whenever you're sustaining a vocal note, you kind of use that run pony rhythm. Dun, da, ga, dun, da, ga, dun, da, ga, dun. Yeah. Then we talked about sliding into notes, approaching the notes from the melody that we've learned from the vocals, approaching that a half step below, and sliding into the notes in kind of the major spots of the melody. Then we talked about double stops. You want your double stops to kind of be in the similar place of the slides, and you can add them together, slide into both notes. But the notes have to be a nod to the chord at that moment, so make sure you know what chord you're on. You always want to keep the melody intact and add a note above or below it for the double stop method. All right, and then final thing we talked about was playing with the last kind of section of your solo. When you finish it, you have all this extra time where you can kind of traditionally improvise and licks and things like that. You could also kind of do that often at the midway point of the tune, kind of leaving the melody. All this goes to say, this is a melody-based approach to soloing, which is one approach to bluegrass soloing. You could also leave the melody and things like that. But for now, let's just try to incorporate everything we worked on. And again, I'm Austin Scelzo. Thanks for listening. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, so try that on a bunch of melodies that are common in the bluegrass kind of jamming world, and apply those principles to different keys as well, and you'll find yourself having much more ease not only in your playing but also if you're naturally hearing some of these solos. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that lesson.